annoying though. It'd be one thing if I was doing this. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to the first in quite a while episode of Good Night, Everybody. This was formerly a weekly show and has now devolved into whenever we feel like it or have a guest or something interesting to talk about. I'm going to be disappearing throughout the program because my camera software is just constantly running ads. So for probably the bulk of this, you will hear me and not see me. And if I can not talk so much, even better also. But I am excited because we are back. We have an excellent show. We have many guests tonight. Well, first let me bring on, as usual, Sidekick Steven. Steven, welcome back.
I will not be disappearing from the screen off and on again for the night, so my apologies to everyone.
Somebody will be there in a professional capacity anyway. Won't be me.
Professional?
But let us see, there I go. Whatever. Tonight, I'm very excited. I don't want to see myself anyway, so fine. We're doing our second, I'm not going to say annual, but our second and whenever we can do it, Artist Roundtable episode. This is very exciting. And we have joining us, although we brought on one at a time in no particular order, we have Andrea of the Pascal Parlor. Hello, welcome back.
Hey.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.
We have artist and illustrator Joe Barud. I hope I'm saying your name even remotely correctly. Well, Joe, I probably got.
Yeah, that part was right.
Awesome.
It's actually Joe.
Oh,
Joe.
And
He's
we have
French.
also, last but certainly not least, the great Chris Lewis, Barry Two's Catholic Illustration. Chris, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Now, Chris, you're a little low in the volume to me. Anybody else? Is it just me?
Okay.
There we
You.
Is that
Literally
better?
just you.
Literally
no,
just
you're
me,
fine.
but then don't worry about it. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for being here for this. This is exciting.
You're
I enjoy
welcome.
these episodes. You're not going to see me. That's fine. I'm not important. I'm just someone who's not going to talk too much and wants to facilitate this conversation that will be great among artists. And Steven is here for some reason. But anyway, I'd like to go around and have everyone introduce themselves. I know they've been introduced, but say a little bit about what you do in your artistic capacity as an artist, an illustrator, a creator. And let's just go around. Let's go clockwise. Let's start with Andrea.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I hand sculpt Catholic jewelry. It's all themed around church symbology, the liturgical cycle, and stuff like that. So not saint medals. More than that.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. And Joe, how about you?
Hi, I'm Joe. I do a Catholic comic strip called Father Alvaro on Instagram, like once a week, or hopefully once a week once I get back into it. Yeah.
And Chris Lewis.
Yep, Catholic illustrator, graphic designer. I run a shop with a lot of my art, sell it on various products, t-shirts, things, posters like this. Then I work for a bunch of Catholic clients to do some pretty cool design work for people, and that's it.
And I'm Steven, Catholic Comedy.
Steven, we know who you are.
I have taken multiple tests that say I'm quite artistic.
Actually, Steven, you are the advocatus diaboli this evening on the part of AI, because I'm fairly certain that everyone else on the panel is against it. I'm
not going to say I am for AI. I just utilize it for quick jokes. That's all. I think
constantly.
Not constantly.
And again, we're playing fast and loose with the term jokes here, but I'll allow it.
No, I think AI is probably a good place to start with the conversation, because everybody on this panel.
No, I don't want to start with AI. I want to start with the creative gene, and I would like to know if our panel believes that such a thing is real, or if anyone can become proficient in the arts through study and practice. Whoever would like to handle that first. Anyone have an opinion on that?
Chris starts.
Chris.
You got to pick on someone, otherwise everyone's going to be quiet.
Chris, you begin.
Yeah, I think that anybody can definitely trying to
Wow, you got like really silent as soon as you
Yeah,
started
see,
talking.
He did,
cutting
yeah.
out
Like,
for me.
Your
like,
audio's
Yeah.
a little-
well, I think.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
go to somebody else and let me figure out what I'm.
Oh, there we go. Well, now you're perfect. I think you just need to be a little close to your mic, wherever it is.
I think
Well-
you might have a faulty mic cord, and so
Yeah.
when you sit back, it goes like.
Okay.
When you move forward, it's like much better.
Well, that's actually exactly what I was saying. So you sound like you heard me. Can you hear me now? Is that?
Now you're a little muffled,
little
but you are
loud.
audible.
We can go to somebody else and I can just check my mic. This is not
All
a
right,
good.
Joe.
All right, Joe, we'll go to you.
Yeah, I think that there are kids and people in general can be generally kind of like drawn to kind of more creative aspects of things. I think that in art can be taught. I have a lot of friends who have gone to school and had really no experience prior to that and have become pretty good artists and much better than me actually. But so I think in that aspect it can be, but I think there's also just kind of that curiosity that kind of drives creativity that some people just kind of naturally have. Creativity in kind of in all forms, whether it's writing or drawing or or acting or any of that.
Right. Okay. And Andrea, what are your thoughts on this?
I would agree. I think definitely more people as well would be into it if it was encouraged earlier on. Like you were saying, Joe, a lot of people later on are discovering different mediums that they're really, really good at. So I think a lot of people think that they don't, but I think they just need the proper encouragement or introduction to whatever it is. Because I think everybody to a degree is creative. They just need the right medium.
They just need to know the right prompts to put into the
start.
AI
Don't
chat,
start.
which you can get art.
Chris, I'm gonna give you a follow up along. I still want your thoughts on the initial question, but what I'm also interested in is there perhaps a level of proficiency that is not attainable by all people, no matter how much they would practice the craft? That this is where I think the so-called artist gene or the creative gene would come into play. Are some people just more inclined to be able to grasp that creative nature and attain to a level of artistic prowess that no matter the level of practice, some people just won't be able to?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with everything that everybody else had said, and I think that for some there's definitely a God-given skill there, but I think really anybody can be. Well, there's a difference between like can anybody be creative, and I think yes, we all are naturally creative, just being creatures who come from God, and we kind of all have that instinct, and whether or not some people can hone it to a more proficient degree, or whether somebody has a God-given specific talent that makes that a little bit easier for them. Like I feel like artists tend to be people who can see the world a little bit differently, and maybe they can pick up on things that maybe just the average person can't. But that does not mean that just the average person cannot be creative. And that's one of the things I've tried to tell people. I respect the fact that people are using AI because they love art. I mean, that's a positive. That's a great thing that people want to be able to express their creativity.
Mm-hmm.
But what I say to them is like, don't cheat it. If you really have that instinct to be creative, just put the time in, do it. It'd be, first of all, be a lot more beneficial or edifying to them. But then it would also just be a more authentic expression of whatever that is that they feel pulling them to something, creative or beautiful. I wish I could remember the name of it. There was actually a book I read years ago about a guy who would, and I might have even talked about this on this program before, but he would go and he would talk to students in classes about art, and he would start from like kindergarten, and he'd go all the way up to high school. And every year, every grade level up, he would ask people, okay, who here wants to be an artist? And like younger those students were, like everybody in the class raised their hand. But as the years went on and you get to high school level, like maybe one or two people did it. So, I mean, it kind of tells me like there is something, we see it in kids, especially, like there is something there that they just see the world differently. And I think if those gifts are kind of focused on and appreciated and practiced, you can turn that into great talent.
So the creative drive is something that you would say is ubiquitous, at least at an early age, but the world is it the world that's kind of eroding it from people's sensibilities as they get older, or are people just finding that their interests lie elsewhere? Do you think that decline that you saw is the result of somebody telling them you don't have talent, or them being too hard on themselves, or do you think it's just people deviate and go off into other paths?
Well, I think I wish I could remember what the actual author said in the book. I can't. This was like over a decade ago, but I think it's a combination. I think number one, art just doesn't really get promoted. It gets promoted a lot when you're younger, and so I think that's why a lot of the kids in school at that age, they take to it and they appreciate it and love it. But yeah, as you get older, people start to find, okay, I have a proficiency in something else, or I have a skill in something else, and maybe that's more suitable to put their time into. But even if people aren't like expressing that creativity themselves, I feel like everybody has like some really just what's the word, like natural instinct to appreciate art. I mean, we know this because people love to look at sunsets. People don't like to go and visit warehouses for to appreciate beauty. They go to art museums and things like that. So I mean, there is something like instinctually in us, I think, to recognize beauty and to want to appreciate it. And there's just it's a different type of person that takes that to the next degree, maybe, or somebody that that says, okay, I want to participate in that for myself.
Right. There's discipline involved also, which I think a lot of times people don't like. Maybe I should say. Andrea, how long have you been? Would you call yourself an artist? Would you call yourself just a creative? Would you how would you describe yourself?
I would say sculptor.
Okay.
I've been doing it since I was 7. So, wow. And I'm self-taught. There weren't any YouTube tutorials in like 2007. So, yeah, a lot of it was trial and error. I would definitely say sculptor. Yeah. And then it kind of went into the mode of jewelry, because what's more fun than wearing something you made?
Sure.
So,
yeah. That's a great insight.
On the tangent of adults kind of understanding the level of discipline, I used to teach group piano lessons for like kids. Oh, wow. And we did have a small adult group going, but they were the worst. And part of it was because they did not want to have to sit down for 30 minutes every day to practice like little Bo Peep songs and stuff like that. They just wanted to go straight to Mozart. I think it's because they're really hard on themselves. I think people in general are very hard on themselves. Mm-hmm. And just seeing tangibly how much you fail in the beginning can be very hard, especially when other things in life are going on, especially in front of other people, which, I mean, how much more visible is it than artwork, whatever form that is. So I think people are just very hard on themselves.
I definitely have that. When I was in, junior high, and I picked up a guitar for like the first time, I wanted to just go right to playing November Rain. Like there was no, I don't want to learn scales. I don't want to learn chords. I just want to be Slash, man, like automatically, but it doesn't work that way. And I have no patience, which is why I'm also not an artist. I think I recognize that in myself anyway. But Andrea, did you have encouragement from an early age in regards to your art?
I did.
You can do this? Okay.
Yes. And I will say that the encouragement faded the older I got. Which I think is very true for a lot of people. Yeah. Kind of like, oh, how's your little hobby going? Kind of remarks. Yeah. So I kind of had to really just put on blinders and just not care. I did get not made fun of, but a lot of like side comments of like, okay, but when are you going to actually like do something useful with your time or whatever? Fast forward now, obviously that's not something that holds any water. But I will say there were a lot of people that were like, oh, you make cute little sculptures or whatever, and not quite seeing the vision there yet. So you kind of have to see your own vision first before. But yeah, I did have some encouragement from family and friends early on. It's just unfortunate that it kind of like faded into the back the older I got. So
sometimes people, they'll indulge children simply because they are children, and then they get to the point where they think they should be. Art is a funny thing because it's not taken as seriously as it really should be, especially in the modern age. Joe, what about you? How long have you been, again, would you describe yourself as an artist, as an illustrator, and how long have you been doing what you do?
Yeah, so I think I wanted to be like a comics nerd, be a cartoonist ever since I was a little kid, and I would like watch like He-Man or something, and then I would go and like my dad always tells me stories of like going to my drawing desk in my room, and I would draw one picture, and then I would like act it out and do like all kinds of sound effects for like 5 minutes, like watching this kind of like my own like cartoon in my head, and then I'd draw another one, and I'd see like an animation and do voices, and I still kind of do that stuff now, but so anyway, there was that kind of and then I discovered eventually. I was watching your last artist Roundtable. I don't know if Chris, if you were talking about like Garfield, and I think Garfield is probably the one that I first like stumbled upon, and then it was like Calvin and Hobbes at one of those like scholastic fairs or something like that, and then I was just like hooked. And I think like Calvin and Hobbes really opened it up to me as far as like what a comic strip could do, and to me it was like art. I mean, I think the Instagram and the online comics are really great now, but what we miss is actually like what he would do with like the panel layouts and stuff, was actually like, if you just step back and just look at it like on a wall, it's an art form, and being able to kind of like convey something that's either funny or, Josh does that of the Catholic cartoon really well, because he can do something that's really, really funny and then the next one it's heartwarming, just kind of makes you smile. So I think that really attracted me. The only problem with me is that I only wanted to draw that stuff, so I never advanced to like Chris's level of like artistry. So like I can draw big heads and little bodies, but if you wanted to draw something that's like really to scale and proportion, then so that would be my advice to kids, is like don't just stop there, because if you can get to kind of someone like Chris's level, then you can always go back and do something cartoony, but it's harder to go the other way. But
let's not poo-poo Calvin and Hobbes. I mean, they're really the
he was another level. Yeah,
that's the apotheosis of comic strips, I think, is Calvin. I mean, I think a lot of people would say, and Joshua also, I think, was very much influenced by Joshua, by the way, of the Catholic cartoon. Could not make it tonight. He was disappointed that he couldn't. He had other plans, but we're always happy when he can join us. But he did refer me to Joe, so we're glad that Joe could be.
We needed different mediums. We needed a digital artist, we needed a comic artist, and then we needed a sculpturist in order to make the show work. Because if one of you wasn't able to make it, we would have to call the whole thing off. Because without the sculpturist, without the comic artist, without the digital artist, what do we got?
It would feel odd almost at this point, because we usually do have some kind of makeup of that manner. Yeah.
Well, cause they think differently, right? Because Andrea has.
Well, that's like a good question. Let's not assume that. Let's not assume that.
I assume everything.
Do they think differently? I wonder about that. So let's go into approaches. So let's start with Chris. What is I know we've talked about this before, but for anyone that's going to watch this for the first time, what is your process and your approach when you're beginning a piece? And does it differ when it's something of your own impetus, or when it's something that has been commissioned, let's say your work with Tridentine Brewing?
Yeah, it's different. The things that kind of come to me out of moments of inspiration are the things that, like Joe was just saying, I remember being a kid sitting at my desk, and I would what was in my head was a movie. And what I was always trying to do was like make that into reality on the paper. And like I could see that happening like in my mind. Like somebody else might kind of look at it and be like, oh, it's just a bunch of scratches, but like in my mind, like something was coming alive on the paper, and I could, I probably did the sounds and things like that too. So there, when things come to me out of inspiration, it's really something that's like the deepest level of something that's just moving me. Like I can, it's real to me, right? So that's different than when somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I have this vision. Can you make this come to life?" Because then I got to get into their head. I got to understand what their story is, and then learn how to express that. Fortunately, now that all my clients are Catholic clients, like that's fairly easy to do because we're all working from the same foundation.
Yeah.
That was much more difficult in the secular world, but when I did that for years. But yeah, I mean, my process is basically, I go from idea to sketch to refinement to polished, finished drawing, and that's pretty much the same no matter what I'm doing. But knowing what that is, what that end goal is, like in my head before I even start, that's always there. Like I always have a very clear, like this picture behind me here of the bark of St. Peter. I knew exactly how I wanted that to look. I knew all the elements I wanted in it, and it was just a matter of like struggling with the pen and the screen to like make that come together and pull the colors in the right way and the details and all of that to really tell the story that I already knew.
And do you have a like a litany of saints you want to get through, or do you wait for inspiration to strike you? Like, I'm praying to right now the intercession of this particular saint. He deserves a portrait, or someone in your family has a reason to pray a novena to somebody, and you say, well, you know what? I haven't thought about them. Maybe I should introduce them in my artwork. Which way does it kind of go when you're choosing what to do?
Yeah, inspiration is like a wild beast. I don't control it. Like I don't even know where it comes from. Like it just hits me sometimes. Sometimes it'll be me reading something in history. the most recent Saint I've done was Saint Lucy, and that was because somebody actually contacted me and was telling me about the struggles she was having in her life with her sight. And so I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to do Saint Lucy for a while, but just like having that interaction with her, that very human connection to the saints, I was like, I feel really inspired to do that. So I did that one, in a single night. So it could be something like that. It could be, something that I read, or sometimes it just hits me like I'm at mass or adoration or something, and like, or reading something in scripture, and something will just come to life, like in my imagination. And so when that kind of happens, it's like my goal is to get to a computer as quick as possible so I don't lose it. And that's a good tip for up and coming artists too. Like I'm not good at this because I'm on a computer all day, but like keep a little pocket sketchbook with you so you can just get those ideas down really, really in a primitive way, and then you can always come back to it later. But it's probably good to have that. I think a lot of artists do that.
Yeah. Andre, what about you? Do you first of all, what's your process kind of like? Do you wait for inspiration to strike you out of the blue? Do you have a range of topics and subjects?
Kind of.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Okay.
I have to put myself in a state of play
Oh,
to be able to
interesting.
make anything. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just need. Sometimes it'll definitely come to me like in the middle of the night. I'll just have this random like priest vestment I saw like the other day just come back and be like, oh my goodness, I need this now, and then like have to jot it down. But usually I have to put myself in a state of play. It's kind of like people saying forest versus trees. I'm very much a tree person. I kind of like grab different elements and then just see how it comes together, and it tends to always work out in the end. So that works. But yeah, usually I'll blast like Sabaton heavy metal in the background.
Oh, really? Okay.
And just have like some plain clay and just see like what happens. But I will try to have a theme that I'm going for. So right now I'm working on the Memento Mori drop for my shop. So I'm kind of like very much in heavy metal skull goth mode.
Yeah,
and just
sense.
kind of seeing what happens. So, but yeah, definitely putting myself in a state of play.
Okay.
Helps.
So it's a deliberate choice for you to kind of enter into the place where inspiration may strike and then go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And then sometimes during the day, but mostly I have to like sit down and really let myself have the freedom to just do whatever and see what happens. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, and Joe, what about you? What does your process kind of look like? Are you an inspiration like lightning kind of guy, or are you because some people like Flannery O'Connor said, I know I mention her all the time, but because she's my favorite. But obviously a writer and not a visual artist. But she said that she had set times she would sit down and she would write for 2 hours twice a day or something like that, whether she felt like it or not, and things would come out. Some people can't work like that. They have to wait until the idea, at least the explosion of the initial ideas in their head, and then they work from it. What is your process kind of more like as far as compared to those two?
Yeah, I think since mine is just kind of like maybe once a week or when I can get to them, it's a little bit easier. I don't have to have like these kind of stacked up. Like I can't imagine the syndicated cartoonist like having to do one every single day for, I don't know how many years did Schultz do it? Was it like 50 years or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So having to do that like every day and that pressure of having to meet that deadline has got to be like crazy. For me, they kind of just in the moment, I've seen some people like talk about they'll just sit in front of a blank canvas or whatever. I've never been able to do that. It's just it's usually comes to me when I'm in the moment to get something from the kids or inspiration there or something else. But I think the thing that we all have in common is that this whole thing, and maybe this is the creative part we're talking about, is that it plays itself out in your mind. So by the time it gets to the paper, it's already been, and if it's a comic strip, it's probably changed itself, and you've acted it out. And I'll actually get kind of frustrated too, like if I can't get to it, because there's so many things going on with the day-to-day with the kids and the full-time job and everything. So and if you got a really good idea that you want to get out there and everything, it's like, I just want to, get this out there. And I think the other part that, when you're talking about people having a harder time kind of getting into art, it's they see the final product and that's intimidating, right? Like, but it never starts out that way. It's usually like really rough, really, sketches and lots of erasing and whiteouts. And that's why I want to go to the Calvin Hobbes Museum, because you can see all like the edits that went into it before that. But the final product can be very, very intimidating, but it never really starts out that way. It's usually very rough and goes through a lot of iterations as well.
Yeah,
I have to say, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but like to
well, that's your job, Steven. You can interrupt with questions.
I'm just saying because I did sketches and I need to get back into doing like sketch audio, and a lot of it's very much the same. It's like you have this idea for how it's going to go in your head, and then you're putting it together, and you're just like a 3-minute audio sketch takes over an hour to produce, and so people, it's kind of crazy because you think like it's only 3 minutes. Why does it take so long? But like you sit there, it's like okay, there's a sound of glass breaking. All right, so this has to go here. Hold on. Maybe here. All right, no, maybe pause it a beat. Have it bring the dialogue together. Separate the dialogue apart. So I understand what you're saying. Like when you're talking about building the comics, like you're writing it out and like you have it in your head. Like jokes in general are difficult. Like when you have it in your head, it's like okay, this is the beat that I want, and then you write it out. It's like that sucks. That's the worst beat I've ever put together in my entire life. I've got to now take it, change it, reword everything. So I feel you.
Well, it's that struggle with our spiritual and our material components. So, just as Christ became the material, like realization of the word, like we are trying to get the idea into something physical, and it's extremely hard. I think that's one of the reasons why it takes a lifelong of like sitting at a desk, honing the skills, sometimes going to school, although not necessarily, and just working at it over and over and over. I started posting process videos, recently, just to show people how much work goes into it. It kind of, as a to contrast with AI, because I think what happens is a lot of people, they see the ideas, but they don't want to spend the time, or they don't think that they can actually develop the skill to like get to that. But there's a lot of that process is kind of what it's all about. Like that's enjoyment, and that's when you actually put that work in and you get to the final product, like it's amazing.
Have you ever watched, Chris? Have you ever watched the videos that the Catholic Pipe Company puts out? Caleb?
No.
You should. So he puts out his videos of him crafting his pipes, and I've got one here.
Oh, cool.
This was not a handcrafted one, but he has these handcrafted ones, and it's a video, and you like it starts with a chunk of wood and it ends with a pipe.
Yeah.
And like there's all those different things that like you look and it's like, how is it gonna have? I love those videos on YouTube where it's like you see and it's like, here's a pile of wood, and then end product, it's a dresser. And you're like, okay, I don't see how you're gonna make this happen. And then step by
those
step,
videos of like 3 pygmies making an in-ground pool are fake, right?
well, not the in-ground pool ones, but those are kind of neat. But I'm talking about like
I have no idea what that is.
People who showcase.
You need to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Do I?
3 a.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm doing what I get off here.
Well, it's just it starts off with like a guy and like just like a bamboo pipe, and by the end he's built an oasis. And
with a
he's
pool.
like dug down like 15 feet, and there's a pool. There's he's built chairs. It's ridiculous what it. But like
all of a sudden, a family appears out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
And it looks better than like every house in this neighborhood, and yet somehow 2 pygmies did it in 2 hours with a stick.
Yeah, but like I think but that's art, isn't it? It's like somebody comes in like for Andrea, for you.
And that's art.
No, I mean, there's a piece of clay, right? The difference
2
between
pygmies, a stick, a pool. That's art.
An artist sees a block of clay and and knows that it can be turned into something amazing. Sees a piece of paper or whatever the blank slate is for whatever that thing that you're talking about is. It's like from nothing comes something. And like if I look at a piece of clay, I think that's a piece of clay. Andrea, what do you see when you look at a piece of clay?
It is now a skull.
Yeah,
right.
And the only
said he was like setting them free or whatever. He would see the marble.
Yeah.
And just be like, I'm going to set them free.
That's what he said.
It's unbelievable. I mean, we're the only creatures that, first of all, can do this, and then secondly, have an appreciation of it. So it's good for everybody on both ends, whether you're the person creating it or you're the person who gets to experience the things that people create. Like it's kind of sad that we're just kind of throwing that out the window, but at least
this is what I was gonna, Chris. You reminded me of something before, and when you were on previously with Trevor and we were talking about the Tridentine collaboration, I remember asking about if you had received any spiritual attacks in your processes at any point, and you answered to the affirmative as far as I recall. But the reason I asked is because I'd like to flesh it out a little bit. I feel like obviously creativity is one of the ways we participate in the divinity, right? Because we are, as you just said, we're the only creatures that can create apart from God. We don't do it apart from God. I'm saying, aside from
Participate,
in
yeah.
addition to God, right? We're the only ones that can create, and I feel like obviously the incredible reduction in the appreciation for aesthetics of any form over the past, I don't know, 200 years, let's say, has been horrific. I mean, and it's been everything. It's been architecture. I mean, from brutalism to modernism and postmodernism, and it's been
To
literature,
Cracker
the same
Barrel.
thing.
I was about to say
Logos.
Cracker
Cracker
Barrel.
Barrel for sure,
Yeah.
right?
Can we,
And
we should ask about that.
illustration and painting and postmodern art and this de-evolution into art being simply what you can get away with, the Damien Hirsts of the world, cutting animals in half and putting them in formaldehyde, and now that's art because somebody paid $2 million for it. But this seems to me like the devil attacking beauty and creativity with both hands, and most people not getting it, that that's what's going on. I mean, do you see it the same way? Because not only have we lost people's ability to create the beautiful, or their willingness to take that endeavor on, but their appreciation for it when someone truly does. People tend to like a lot of really ugly crap, it seems like to me. Do you think that that's what's going on? Is it really a spiritual battle happening on that front as well? Anybody?
I've noticed
Nope.
if my prayer life is slacking, I'm in a dry spell and I can't really make as many things as I'd like.
There you go.
Or try to create something new. So that's usually a symptom that I need to refocus better. So yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess in a way it reminded like screw tape letters too, like where, you just don't know what's happening. We don't know what's happening to us. Like, and all these things, I think there's also just a lack of wanting to put anything that's going to take any time in general now. And that the true beauty of art, of music, of anything, it takes time. Right. And, and no one wants to put any time into anything. And I think that's, social media, we're going to probably get into AI at some point. So it's
We
just,
will.
everyone wants everything at a click of a button. Doesn't want to have to work for anything. And that's the struggle I'm having with my kids too, because, they're growing up in that generation. So it's really hard to detach them from that and be like, if you want to become the next composer or something, you've got to work at it every single day. You've got to get off the video games. You've got to and go outside too. Like we've lost beauty of nature too.
Touch some
no one goes
grass.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when God, I don't know. I think there's a wonderful opportunity for God to speak to you in those moments.
Definitely.
And, we don't have those as much anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Chris, what do you think about that? I mean, is the reasoning for all the acceleration of the uglification of everything spiritual?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely a component of that. I like what Joe said about things taking time, because I mean that's a huge part of this that I think a lot of people miss, is that being human with this finite lifespan that we have, every minute that we choose to do something adds value to whatever that thing is we're doing. When we spend, I just finished a new work that must have taken me at least 40, 50 hours maybe by the time I got done with it. I mean, it's 40 or 50 hours of my life that I was not doing anything else. I was single-mindedly dedicated to this task. That, to some degree, for an artist, is where the value in that work comes from. So when we say we don't need to spend that much time on something, I mean, it's kind of saying something about the art itself. If we're saying, well, a prompt is just as good as something that somebody devotes. I just posted actually on Twitter the other day. Somebody was working on a painting for a year, and
I saw that.
I mistakenly said, why would anybody do this when you can just type in a prompt and be done with it in 2 minutes? I should have known better than to be sarcastic on X. But
you can't be sarcastic on the internet.
Yeah, I know. Lesson learned. But the real point there is that why would we do this? It's, to a certain degree, it's kind of crazy. I mean, why would we spend an hour sitting in front of a canvas trying to make colors come together and develop something that we're fascinated by. Like, it's just, if you step out of yourself for a minute and just look at the human experience, it's kind of an interesting thing to grapple with. So our spiritual attacks, when we, use our time to this sort of endeavor, especially when it's an endeavor that is supposed to hopefully point people's imaginations and thoughts back to God, I think there's a spiritual component of that. I do think it
Right.
on the part of the artist, on the part of all the other people that may come across a work. And so when we see like the church is stripped after Vatican II, and we see brutalist architecture, and I just posted something the other day, why can't it was a small little Italian villa side street or something, and I was amazed that the thing that most people were fascinated by was that it wasn't utilitarian enough. Like, it was a problem for fire hazards, crime, and ADA compliance. And I'm like, we're missing the point here. To Andrea's point, like, I'm a trees person. Like, we can still build beautiful things and meet ADA compliance. Come on, people.
And there's something. This is something that like has come across my mind a few times. But like, Satan is efficient. God is beautiful. Like everything, because God makes it. God could have built us so that we only had to eat one thing, and that was it. But he gave us the desire and the want for multitudes of foods and for creativity to go into it. And like Satan, if Satan ruled the world and was keeping us alive, we would all just eat some sort of generic slop that had enough nutrients to keep us going.
Spam.
And I mean, don't knock spam, because Hawaiians love it.
I know.
But I'm just saying, like we'd all just be eating like wheat slurry or something like that. Like in the Matrix.
Soy and green.
Where like when they get out of the Matrix, they're just eating this stuff that has all the specific nutrients or whatever that you need to survive. It's like, that's the way that Satan would have us eating. Like, God gave us variety. God loves beauty. God does not love efficiency. But in the world, there's a weird efficiency to all of this chaos that comes together, that everything works together. But it's not like brutalist architecture is focused on efficiency, and things that are focused on efficiency are not beautiful.
Yeah, efficiency, utility, and I forgot to come around to the point, was that the reason why we accept this just as modern societies is because our soul is dead. Like, we don't have our soul doesn't even recognize what we're lacking when we see these cardboard box apartments just being built one after another with all the trees torn down and everything. We're just like, yeah, okay, that's just another place to live. Great, I can go sleep there, eat there, do my thing, go to work, whatever. It's like, wow, we're made for way more than this, and I'm just mind boggled that we just accept it so easily now. It's depressing. I mean, for me, it's depressing. Like, this is why I love looking back to old movies and stuff, because I mean, I know it wasn't. I can idealize that stuff, and they had problems too. But I'm like, yeah, but things were. I don't know. I find beauty in the way that we used to care about crafting things, whether it was architecture, art, the way we built our streets, the way we lit a street, the way we every aspect of our life. And I think the reason we just are not equipped to do that anymore is because we're dead inside.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm very interested in the reasons for why people don't appreciate beauty anymore. How that
I think people don't savor. They don't savor anymore.
But
like, how many times do you watch people, like, if you're eating, like, how many times are people just scarfing something down or like on their phone and not sitting there and acknowledging, the salt and the sweet, how awesome they taste together or whatever, just really rushing their food. I think that just really sets them up. I mean, that's a symptom, but it sets them up to not want to savor a really beautiful painting or a really pretty walkway with some cobblestones and lack of wheelchair signs,
It's a lack of gratitude.
Things like that.
Yeah.
At the core, it's a lack of gratitude.
Sorry, Joe, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, can you imagine, like, in early civilization, when they would have to spend all day just like looking for food, just to like find a meal, like they would spend all day just for that one meal. And they're probably thinking, man, if I only had more time, like what would I do with it? And then they'd flash forward to today, where it's just like, we have everything to push a button, and what are we doing with the extra time? We're just scrolling and consuming
Doom scroll.
Yeah, I mean, if it was leading to other things like all these conveniences to more time in prayer, more time with our families, more time building crafts and things like that, but we're not. It's more time to just numb ourselves to death over
think about the
infinite
Bible,
scrolling.
right? Like the Bible used to be handwritten by monks in monasteries, and they would put all sorts of designs and everything in them, and little pictures and things. Like when they were doing something, it was right. It was so much more. And then we got the Gutenberg press, and the Bible is available to everybody, but it gets stripped of almost all of its beauty.
It be?
Like that's a different argument, but I'm just saying, it's stripped of its beauty. It's stripped of the joy. It's just text on a page, and we can get the text out to as many people as possible, but it is just text. There's no, like, finding an old Bible is something amazing. Like, you go to the stores now and they're printed and they're Times New Roman, and sometimes they have a really large letter at the beginning of each chapter. But overall, it's text on a page, and all of the beauty of the handwritten by the monks and monasteries, because that's all they would do all day is copy the Bible word for word to create another version of the Bible.
That's
another,
a good
copy of it.
It's a good point that once things like that kind of fell out of use, it wasn't like. I mean, there's people in the peripheries that that still might do stuff like that, very small scale. But the bigger effect.
There's a guy on Twitter that does it.
Yeah, so I mean, Daniel Tui does some kind of like illuminated.
Yeah, he does it too.
Type
Yeah.
stuff. But the bigger impact is that it's the culture that suffers. The culture never goes looking for that again. And maybe again on the periphery you're going to find people that appreciate it, but large scale, and that has a trickle effect to everything else we do. So like. That's one of the things with AI. It's like, I can kick off 300 images in 3 minutes, but I've just cheapened the experience. I've just cheapened art, and we're just going to consume that like we do everything else and just move on to the next thing. We don't even stop to think about stuff anymore. And that's a big part of art too, is that it's a very contemplative process. I don't know how it is for you two, but like for me, when I'm working on a piece, like it's a very meditative, contemplative process. Like I'm thinking, I'm also trying to impart some of that meditative quality into the art so that maybe it helps other people do the same thing. So we just, when it's just like image, like what are we really doing?
Yeah, there's a piece of you in that art, right? Like it comes out on the page, and I think that's what's missing in AI for sure. It's just like, I think I saw your last roundtable, and I agree. It's kind of like soulless. And then you were talking about the tangible piece. I think I also agree with just that the physical aspect of holding that in like newspaper and everything, where you just kind of sit there and you'd appreciate it and you'd kind of spill over and you'd return to it. Now it's on to the next thing and you're just scrolling past stuff.
It's the fast food of artwork. It's like fast food ruined the restaurant industry because it went from an experience to I need to get it now and move on. And AI is the same thing for art. I want art and I want it now.
I don't think we asked Andrea when we interviewed her if she has strong feelings about AI. If we did, I don't remember. I'm sorry, but what are your opinions on AI and its use in the creative process?
I know some people will use it for, like, carpenters will use it for mock-ups to kind of give their clients like an idea of what it'll look like, which I think is fine. Like if you're doing it for like an outline or whatever, just to get the idea out there. But if you're using it in place of the final product, that's where I have a problem. Also, it kind of, I don't know, gives me trust issues. Like if I see a company or whatever using it, I don't know. It's just very visually confusing to me. Usually if somebody paints something, there's a visual story that you're following with your eye. Like, okay, I'm supposed to focus up here, and then that kind of leads here, whatever. But AI is very flat and very confusing. Like when I look at it, I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be looking because usually the lighting's off or there's no storyline. It's just giving you whatever prompt you typed in or whatever. So I'm generally very against it unless you're doing something like an outline for a mock-up for something or whatever. But I don't think it should replace the final product.
There are people that are selling AI art, especially on Etsy.
I've seen, I don't know, if I was at Mass last week and I saw not one, but 3 separate women with purses
Oh,
that
no.
had AI mock-ups of the Virgin Mary on their purse.
Oh,
and I
no.
knew which company they got it from too. I almost said something, but I looked at it and I was like, you know how many beautiful Caravaggios there are that
Yeah.
this company could have like printed on this purse, but they went for like the weirdest looking AI model for it. Like, what's the logic there? I don't know.
You can always tell, right? I mean, can you guys always tell when it's AI?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Nine times out
99%
of
of the
10.
time anyway,
There's-
right? And
there's
it looks
some-
dead.
Yeah, because people don't know how to use it either. I mean, it's
Is
just
that what
going to
it
be
is?
like, well, I think that it's like a meme, it's
Yeah.
the same thing over and over again. Someone just
I hate
takes it, they
memes.
slap new text on top of it because there's not that person that has the heart that's controlling it with the creative vision to actually, carry it out. And you see that you see that in AI, and I think that's what's missing. Anyway, that's how I feel. Like when I
No,
see
I
someone
agree with
changing
you.
their avatar, I usually actually just move past it. If I see AI avatar now, I'm just kind of so over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I've always hated memes, actually, because I feel like it strips so much of the creativity out of jokes and comedy. You're just repurposing something that's been repurposed and will be repurposed a million other times and slightly altering it. It's like, okay, whatever. It's kind of the stuff of chain emails, right? Like if you're sitting in a cubicle and you're Dwight Schrute, you send a meme around. But if you're actually serious about comedy, humor, you don't go to the meme, I don't think. But I guess everybody does now. I'm in the minority. But that's
Well,
kind of the same thing.
I don't think
No,
you're
go
in the
ahead, Chris.
minority there. I don't think that you're in the minority when you're talking about like comedy and stuff like. People know that like memes and AI comedy is like it's low hanging fruit, low brow type of stuff. It takes a certain person, because what happens is like one person does something right, and then a bunch of people try to copy it, and then it's not right. It's like there are moments when you sit there and you're like, you know what, that actually is a really funny meme. That's a really funny way of reinterpreting this thing, and somebody who was creative and smart did it. I think of it kind of like you ever hear, everyone's always like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and then for a long time it was just the same version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and then that guy, the Hawaiian guy, he did that Hawaiian version of it.
Why are you
And
obsessed with Hawaii today?
I was gonna say
That is funny.
First off, Hawaii. It just
That was in
it's just where-
Shallow Hal, I think that song was. Or
Right.
something.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
It's
50
Is. It's talking about Is. Is
Yeah,
his name Is?
yeah.
yeah, something
The
like
big
that.
guy.
But like,
Little ukulele.
right,
with the-
right. And so
Israel,
Yes.
something.
Israel something.
Is his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
he did a fantastic new version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow where he
I mean,
took
is it
that song.
fantastic?
It's actually really good for
Yeah, I like
for
it.
a cover song. It's really good.
I like it, but fantastic is a strong
What
word.
I'm saying is, it was good and it became popular. And then whenever anybody else does a cover of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which they do, they cover his cover version. They just
I
basically
mean,
copy.
is he not
that.
like the Tiny Tim of Somewhere Over the Rainbow? He's got a ukulele and he's doing a version of a classic song.
I'm
That's
just
his- I don't
saying.
know about
I'm just saying,
is
like,
Tiny Tim fantastic? I mean,
yeah, Tiny Tim is fantastic. But what I'm
all right,
saying
that's
is,
fair. That's fair then.
you take something that was good, you change it, or something that was you take something that was good, you change it, you make it into this new thing, and then the rest of the world, all they really know how to do is redo the thing that you did instead of turning it into something else. That's also amazing. Like that's what AI does, and that's what memes do.
Well,
Like, you
before we
take
get into
something
AI,
good.
Stephen, I will give you $1 million if you can look up and pronounce Israel's last name live.
I was
on
gonna
the
say I
program.
wasn't about to attempt it.
Yeah.
I
looked
will
it up
look-
and I'm not trying.
All right, hold on.
A lot of letters.
There's a lot of letters in places that they don't belong. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's an apostrophe just for good measure thrown in there too.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I'm just getting like, I don't know what his last name. I'll just look Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I'll find it.
Just look Israel
Kamakawi
Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Ole.
Oh, Kamakawi Waye Ole.
Okay, that's probably close.
I was gonna say yours sound better than mine.
I
Oh, he has a
don't know.
middle name too. Oh my goodness.
No, does he really?
Yeah,
Oh,
with more apostrophes. That's
He's
crazy.
a big guy and he's a lot of name.
Yeah, I mean, and didn't he die?
He did.
Pretty
Yeah.
sure he died.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died.
Imagine if his name was Bob. You'd see him and be like, "That's not a Bob."
He was
Yeah.
6'2". Wow.
Yeah, he was big, and he had like
Hawaiians are big.
and he had his wife.
And
So
Samoans.
he and his wife, like their kind of story was turned into this short before the short that Disney did, the lava,
Oh yeah.
and that caused a lot of problems. People were like, why is it a giant mountain and a really good looking mountain coming together? It's like, because that's the two people. Like, you look at the picture, then like, yeah, no, that fits. But everyone
That's very interesting. I didn't know that. That's supposed to be a like stylized story of them.
Yeah, it was because he was a good singer who was looking for someone to sing with him, and he met the love of his life, and she loved him, and they were able to come together and make and be a family, and then he died tragically.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
how did he die?
That was a heart problem, wasn't it?
He was 757 pounds.
Yeah,
It was
I would
respiratory
He died
insufficiency.
respiratory failure. Yeah, cardiac issues and respiratory failure at 38,
boy.
which is how old
38.
I am. So
terrible.
His brother's name was Skippy. Apparently.
Are you making that up? Or is that
Now
true?
you're saying Bob, but no, it literally says his brother's name was Skippy.
Get out of here. That's so funny.
This is a place I didn't think the show was going tonight, but very
We
interesting.
never know, Chris. You know.
That's why I love the show, because you just never know.
Oh, do you know the book Tiki Tiki Tembo?
No.
Sounds familiar for some reason.
It's a children's book. I'm surprised it's still in print. It may not be, but it's about a Chinese kid and his brother and their mom, and it's this parable about how like the Chinese used to give the firstborn these really big long names, and then the second kid they were like, I don't care about this kid, and they'll give him like a little short name, and the kid with the big long name falls in a well, and the little brother's got to go and tell the mom to help get him out. He's got to say this big whole long name, and he like runs out of breath. So at the end, they're like, well, now the Chinese only give their children little short names because Tiki Tiki Tembo no Sorembo Chawi Rawi Ruchi Pip Peri Pembo almost drowned in the well.
A kid's book?
Yeah.
Children's book, yeah.
Look, drowning in near death is just. I mean, have you ever listened to "Oh My Darling Clementine"? That's
dark too. Yeah.
That's right.
Wait, just read. You know what I have, and it's hard to find them, believe it or not, because even some of the ones that say authentic. The original Grimm's fairy tales and Hans Christian Andersen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you get the real ones, because a lot of them will say they're the real ones and they're still altered. The real ones are rough.
No,
they're amazing.
The Anderson stuff, I love it, and it's really
so good.
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid scarred me.
The original Little Mermaid is amazing because at the
purgatory
end,
in it.
Well, yeah, at the end, it's she basically goes to purgatory.
Yeah.
And becomes one of the wind spirits that
Disney for some reason
Disney
left that out. I can't imagine why.
Well, because she wanted to get an immortal soul so that she could go to heaven. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the whole thing about the real Little Mermaid.
And when they redid it to remove the prince, like the prince betrays her in the original one. Not betrays her. He doesn't know because she can't talk. But like
good thing her name wasn't too long too.
Right.
It's true.
But yeah, it's a great story. The original Little Mermaid is a great story, and in the end, it talks about how when a child smiles and is good, then a year is taken off of these creatures' lives or creatures' purgatory, and when the child is crying and screaming, then like a year is added on or something. It's kind of it's like
constant.
Yeah, it's a fairy tale. So it's like,
but these fairy tales, they're mostly deeply Christian, but in a way that is unrecognizable to modern convenient Christianity, like the Joel Osteen Christianity. They're all about suffering and morals and all stuff we don't like to talk about. But okay, so let's dive more into AI. How deleterious is the existence of AI to creativity going forward? Is there any positive to anyone being able to create art, or is this going to be the most deracinating piece of machinery that's been invented and will have no more roots and no more talent and no more skill because the playing field will be much like the internet kind of did, will be completely leveled? How detrimental do we see this being in the next 20, 30, 50 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think that there is. I mean, there. So actually, I'm in an AI hackathon tomorrow for I'm in user experience. So we are being encouraged, I would say, quotation marks, to use it pretty heavily. I think there's a place for it, and it might be in the early stages for like ideation.
Right.
I wouldn't say for like finished art, but like if you want to get a lot of ideas out there quickly, especially people who can't visualize things or can't put their thoughts into visual form, because we do a lot of like design thinking workshops, and we work with a lot of people who are, from business side, from engineers who are not very visual, and so you're trying to come to solutions that are creative solutions, and so trying to get that out of them, you come to the sketching session and the people are a little, oh, I can't draw, I can't do these things, and so I think there are places for that. I think that the worry about it replacing humans is a constant thing, and even in field I'm in, and as well, it's still there. I mean, I don't think it can kind of connect all the things right now. It still is kind of like a tool in the various systems, but I think that maybe in the early stages of just when you're coming up with quickly getting ideas and kind of seeing maybe what's out there, can kind of cut down on that kind of research time.
Okay. And Chris, since you're the most prominently against AI person probably on the panel, is your problem even okay? So does your problem begin? Is there a hard line for you, at least, between people using it to mess around with ideas and people who are profiting off of stuff they had no actual hand in creating, or is it everything? Do you want people to just at least attempt to sit down and through the own power of their hands and the dexterity of their fingers work something out before they immediately jump to AI? Is there a balance there?
Yeah, it's a multifaceted problem, I think.
Sure.
On the one hand, here's the thing that's amazing to me, especially as Catholics. It's no surprise to me that the companies developing this stuff love it, and they're gonna put it into every software. They're gonna encourage everybody to use it. I mean, it's everywhere now. It's on all the YouTube ads. It's in all the Adobe Suite stuff now. They've built it into everything, and it's a moneymaker for them. And of course, I'm sure it's addictive for people who haven't honed the skill. I mean, it's got to be kind of addictive to say, okay, I can just come in here and just create whatever I want. And if people are having fun with it, like on their own time, it's not really a concern of mine. What the concern for me is that, especially as Catholics, just how quickly everybody said, oh, there's this new thing, let's just start using it. And it's like, did anybody like pump the brakes for like 2 seconds to ask, like, okay, where did this come from and where is this going? Because we all know at this point, I mean, it's been well documented that all of the image generating programs were built off of stolen work.
Yes.
So it's baked into it. So every time you're using AI as a Catholic, somebody's work was stolen to produce your result. They're not getting credit from your result. They didn't get credit when the machines mine their work. They're not getting credit still, and it's still stealing from work that's out there on the internet. We know there's companies out there that are just mining work off the internet. And in addition to all of that, so that's just baked into the software. So that's rotten at its core as far as I'm concerned. Catholics are then going and trying to make sacred imagery out of it.
It makes me crazy.
I find that really problematic. Now, here's the other part that people I don't think about. Everybody's wrapped up in, well, I want to express my creativity and I want to be able to use it, and it's there, so why can't I use it? All those things. But nobody thinks about the fact that when I go into X now, I see, maybe 15 images come up with, in a matter of a couple minutes. 99% of them are AI. So I'm not even seeing legitimate Catholic artists out there anymore. The algorithms are just washing them out, because if you can create 1 million images in 1 minute and everybody's doing this, and where everybody's putting it on X and everybody's sharing that on X, I mean, the real artists are basically whispering in the crowd trying to get attention. Yeah. So then you're not even patronizing the people who really want creating a work out there. So I'm fortunate that I kind of started doing all this stuff before AI blew up. So I have been able to connect with a pretty reliable base of patrons. and clients. But for new artists coming up, I mean, this is the tough. What do you do in this situation? Do you play that game? Do you play the AI game so you can keep up? Because you can't. You can't. It takes you a week to produce a new piece of work. It takes them a minute. And there's some accounts out there, and I tried to have a conversation with one the other day about all the things I just mentioned, and they're putting up 10 images an hour, like
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different problems with it. But here's the thing: I don't think it's going anywhere. I mean, if anything, it's only going to get bigger. The new generations coming up, getting used to this. This is just what they're going to be used to. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing, people are saying, "Well, people always value real artists, but will they?" I mean, as Andrea just said, there's plenty of people out there that are going and supporting these shops, just making AI art. And one of the worst things about wearing it to mask. And one of the worst things about that is, and a lot of these people don't know, a lot of that stuff is coming out of shops that are also selling occult stuff. They're stealing from other Catholics. So I mean, the whole thing's just a mess. And it's
I've seen Chris. I think we talked about this actually. It must have been with you, but there are AI artists doing supposedly sacred art who are embedding occult imagery in the minutia, very small, almost microscopic, in these images. And people, it was like many years ago. I think they still exist. There were counterfeit miraculous medals made by the Freemasons.
Oh yeah, and rosaries too. Rosaries too.
Yes, and rosaries too. Okay, so you know about this. Yeah, and now we're going to see that inexorably multiplied by AI and be all over the place. And it's going to be unwitting Catholics that are.
Well, when you're not controlling, that's a good point. Because when you're not controlling every stroke of the brush or the pen, you don't know what the AI is pulling from. It could be pulling in satanic imagery, and you would probably never know it. It's just such a weird thing, and for me, it's depressing because like when I go on social, like Instagram has become almost not even usable for me anymore. It's not enjoyable. All the real artists on there are really hard. It's really hard kind of discover them and find their work. A lot of people are just stealing and reproducing stuff, and then you have the AI on top of it. It's a shame because like when I started doing all this, social media was a really good platform for artists to be able to get their work in front of an audience that they would have no other means of connecting with. And within a matter of years, it's become the complete opposite, where it's just like and then now the algorithms are just adjusted to cater to videos and stuff like that. So now people are just doing animated AI. Well, I mean, I'm not an animator, so like playing the algorithm game as an artist just so you can get attention now, it's like it's not. I don't know. It's just not a game I'm going to play. I mean, so
it's terrible.
I'm kind of in this point. Like, what am I going to do?
I know what you're going to do. I know how you're going to do it. How you're going to solve it. I know how we're going to solve all of these problems.
Oh, no. Here he goes.
Oh, no.
No. Does it involve coffee houses?
No.
It's going to have something to do with a cow.
No.
I was going to say, is it cows?
No, it's so one of the things that we lost during the Great Virus.
We're all going to fly to Hawaii and have a nice vacation.
One of the things that we lost during the pandemic, as it was, are these in-person events where people would bring their artwork or whatever to it to sell to the masses, to show them. Like, I think that's where we have to make our stand, is to bring those things back. You bring back a point where
you mean like a gallery.
Not a gallery or just. What I'm saying is galleries or just like
events.
Yeah, like Chris, if you went to your parish after and like walked with them like after mass and said, "I'll give 10% of the profits of these paintings."
I do this.
My friend used to do that.
I do.
But like many things, this is the church's fault. Like so many things, and by the church, I mean the institution. I don't mean the spotless bride of Christ, right? But this is from the initial absconding of its responsibility for being the largest patron of the arts in the world, to upholding what should be considered beautiful in the world. This is all trickled down, right? So they don't do that. That, Stephen, you're 100% right. That should be a semi-regular occurrence at every parish. When's the last time you've seen it happen? And when you do, it's either like some pervert doing weird stuff, pictures of the saints with no clothes on, or it's just hideous garbage, right? It's like a decoupage from some boomer lady. So it's like
that's what we need to bring.
This is sounding personal.
Like we have to do it. Like there has to be at least one person in any given parish or any given diocese who has the means, and the opportunity to host a Catholic event that's not for political reasons, that's not for not to or to get donations for this, that, or the other, but is just for an
Well,
appreciation.
you have that.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
you.
I'm leading
Well-
to. I'm leading to it in my diocese, but in any other diocese,
No, they
anyone
do,
else.
Stephen. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I've been doing so the past 2 years. I've made more of an effort to go on the road to do festivals and events and congresses and things like that, which is good. But I'm also like I'm getting older. It's really exhausting.
You'll have to
Um,
pass the baton on to somebody else to do it, and but like.
Well,
what
no,
I'm
I'd
saying
say there
is-
is a benefit there of I absolutely love like going to these events and being able to connect with humans face to face,
Yeah.
and then tell people like, yes, I am. This is actually handmade art. Like I created this art, and it's good. I agree with you. There is a.
We have to beat the robots.
They're saying the
We
same
have
thing
to.
about musicians. Like
But you
this
love
is
the
going to
robots.
force us to return to concerts. And things.
Okay. First, I have utilized robots at times for jokes when I can, but I have
You
become
had your
exceedingly-
entire profile on one
No,
for a
it's-
good 24 hours was nothing
Oh.
but AI generated images of the cast of Psych
Okay.
and
yes.
at the Vatican.
That was
It was a
Steven, you're
solid
that was
24
like-
at least.
He's part of the problem.
He
I am.
is.
No, certainly. However, I have become disenchanted with the use of AI, and
Oh,
I
really?
do
How
want
convenient
I-
today.
not just today.
As of an hour ago.
Right.
Well, hey, success. We
I've
convinced
just
them.
decided, in
My
a room
point-
full of people that hate AI, I hate it too.
Look, I understand. Like when you're making some little stupid
Oh,
one-off
man.
jokes or whatever, that's the thing. Like, but I draw the line at like anything serious.
It wasn't a
you can't
one-off.
use
It
AI
was like
for.
50 of
I know
them
that
did.
was part of a joke that I was doing. I wanted to like a psych episode where Gus becomes the Pope. It was a dumb thing, but it was just based off of these ideas like who's going to be Pope.
I feel like that's
who-
probably happened at some point in people's history.
Right,
A Gus
so-
like figure.
Anyway, but the point is that yeah, I did that, but like that when you're doing it to make a joke or something like that, that's one thing. When you're trying to do it as a serious, when it starts to be serious or it's sacred or something, that's when
I'm not
That's
going to let
when
you
it's
get
bad.
away with this because you said before that you were against memes for the reason that they depreciated the craft of comedy, and AI for comedy is fine. You're saying because it's just a joke. So you're trying to have it both ways because I would
I
think
am.
that AI is much more
AI
much
is-
worse than
Yes.
memes. At least people are going in there and actually doing something with
So-
the meme. AI, it's like
But-
make me joke about Gus,
so-
and then it comes
So
up.
there are definitely like because you would use an AI thing like that not to craft the joke but to create the visual for the joke because the
Okay.
crafting of the joke has to come outside of it because AI is terrible at joking and I don't want AI to be good at joking but it is bad. Like if you ask AI, tell me a joke, it's the worst joke. It doesn't make sense. It can't do puns. So, but like if you were to say, hey, if you're like, I've got a joke.
Are we talking about puns or are we talking about crafting jokes?
I'm talking about like I'm saying crafting jokes. If you have a joke and you just want like, hey, I need a quick visual to showcase this joke, right? I've got the joke here. I've designed the joke, but like the visual thing is Dule Hill dressed as the Pope. That's that. I just need an image of that in order for this joke to land. So that's one thing, using it as a tool as opposed to using it as everything else. Like someone's like, hey, write a spec script for Seinfeld about this idea that I have. Boom. That's not crafting. That's not comedy. That's just telling AI to do a thing, which is different. And I think there is a realm in there where you can take and I've said this. I think I said this to you, Chris, privately, but like there are people who are going to be able to like take something AI generated or take something or utilize AI in their artistic process. It's just a piece of it, right? It's like I'm writing a song, and so I just need a beat or something like that, and then they have the AI
That's
create a beat.
terrible.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying that people will use it in their process.
That's
And
maybe
that's
the
not
worst
as bad.
example.
I just don't
Okay.
understand the reason. I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm just
Okay.
old school. I don't see the point.
I
Yeah.
I understand. I'm just saying that somebody is going to be able to utilize it in a way that is creative. I don't know what that is because I'm not creative enough to know that, but they will use it in a way that's not going to be just AI doing all the work, but just is something to help them along the way. I know writers use it as back and forth for plot points so that they can ask questions and not bother their friends as much.
On that point, though, it's been really bothersome to me that we've just all accepted the argument that, well, it's just a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not the way that tools have ever been thought of. I mean, you don't think of a tool as something completely replacing what you're doing. It's supposed to be something enhancing whatever action or, thing that you're trying to accomplish. But I mean, when you can go into a music software now and just drag a pre-composed,
right,
rhythm or beat or strings or chords or whatever, like that's a replacement. It's not a tool.
Yeah, but you could I would argue that tools oftentimes replace something more laborious to make it less laborious, right?
But the difference is this is replacing lack of skill for skill. So
right.
the difference with a tool is, like, if I hammer something, I could probably hammer it with anything, but it's going to take.
The hammer's not going to build the house for it.
Hammer's not going to build the house. That's exactly
right. Which is where it's like that's what I'm saying. Like, using AI to build your house is terrible. Using AI as a hammer because there's something that you need assistance with in that moment that you could get that is going to be different than using it to do the whole thing, right?
But it's hard to find what that thing is. That's the problem.
And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that AI is definitely cool all the way. I'm saying that if you can utilize it as a tool, it can be useful in different realms. I don't think it really should be used in the arts, generally speaking. I think that you have that there are definite issues that come up with using it as as the actual creative flow or through point. But yeah, I don't have all the answers either. I'm just saying that for me, if somebody uses it as a tool, as a piece, I can understand them that being useful there, researching stuff like that. But as the whole process, obviously, no, you need the human element in there.
I agree with part of that. I think especially when we start out doing in design, we do a lot of research on competitors, and you kind of see what else is out there. And so if it can help you kind of do that more quickly, it's not going into your final piece. At the end of the day, you still have to own it. We interview a lot of people, and you can kind of tell when somebody is using it. Well, you can tell when people are using AI. People they light up now too in the room, like, oh, really? This person's using AI? Wow, tell me more. And it used to be if you said in a resume, if you were to say, wow, this resume is really good, what'd you do? Well, I found another one. I just copied it and pasted it from somebody else's. You'd be like, get out of here. But now if you say wow, this resume is really good, what'd you use? You'd be like, well, I use ChatGPT. They're like, oh, tell me more about that. It's actually a plus. When in the past, it used to be you're lazy, you basically just copied somebody else's work.
I would not. Yeah. I would not.
Is that
hire
true?
anyone.
It's considered a positive if you
complain about it's expected now. If you go into interviews, I mean, you have to be showing AI, and you have to talk through how you work. Now, if you're showing it, if you just took AI and you took chat right to it and you just took that, you didn't rework it in some way, then that's something different. But they want to see how you're using it in your workflow. And there's a directive that the company I work for is pretty much saying by the end of this year, we're expecting 10x productivity from everyone across the board with the use of AI, regardless of what space you're in. We're assuming that if you're using AI, we're expecting this kind of baseline edge of productivity. So there's this
is completely obvious to me. I saw this. Where did he go? I saw this.
I need to drop off. I'm late for getting off of my work or getting off here.
Are you leaving for good?
Yes, I have to go.
Oh, okay.
You guys continue.
What a graceful exit. We didn't even get to argue with him again.
Dropped out before he could handle the heat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That was a little rude.
About to turn it up on him.
Convenient timing.
But he has to milk his cow. It's not a euphemism. But yeah, this is not to. I don't want to get into a whole Chestertonian anti-capitalist diatribe, but of course companies are going to make use of this when they can cut budgets everywhere and slash people and and remove actual humans that they have to pay a payroll to for whatever they pay for a fee for licensing. Of course, like people are writing books with this and selling it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon doesn't care as long as they get profits from the books like they would from any other book. So this is just going to permeate everything. And these are the real concerns. It makes me crazy when people like Elon Musk, who I don't like anyway, are like, "Oh, AI is going to come alive and conquer the world." That's ontologically impossible. It cannot develop a will of its own. It can't. I don't see that. I mean, you people could argue me out of this maybe, but I don't see that ever being an actual possibility. AI awakens and decides, whatever. But what we've been talking about here for the last hour or so, these are the real fearsome realities of AI, right?
Mhm.
Like this is the stuff that people should be concerned about, and they're worried about, like the Terminator.
Yeah, I mean, if people can't connect the dots, I mean, we talked about being a tool, like maybe for now, but I mean, that's just, and you're supposed to all be like, yeah, I'm using AI, when it's like it's like a quarterback training, like a veteran quarterback training the rookie star who's going to be, you're training him to take over your job, and you're supposed to be all gung ho about training, and we're all supposed to be kind of gung ho about using AI, when I think the writing is kind of on the wall when it comes to the people who are actually producing the work and the executional work. A lot of that is probably going to be taken, because you're right, if they can replace you with AI or anything like that, they'll do it in a heartbeat, the larger companies. So
yeah, I mean, money is ultimately going to drive that, and so far, we've kind of seen that. I mean, I don't know how long AI's been out. I remember seeing it maybe for the first time 2 years ago, and within the last year and a half, it's just been exploded, just everywhere now. And like as I was saying before, like nobody even pressed the brakes on it. We just all said, "Yeah, okay, it's a new thing. Let's just do it." And as long as people are not going to be discerning about it, especially the people who are spending their money, so it's a consumer-driven decision for a lot of these companies. Yeah, they're going to do it. I think I heard that when this stuff started breaking, that there were like entire video game studios just like laying off their entire.
They are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're laying off their entire.
Well, it kind of started there, because the understanding of what AI is, this may be me personally, but when I used to think of AI before the past 3 years, maybe, AI was the thing that made the bad guys take cover in GoldenEye, right? When you're shooting at them, that was AI. It was always a term that was related to video games. All of a sudden, it's everywhere, and it does everything. And I don't know where the disconnect was between those two, but
yeah, and I made this point the other day that for better or for worse, well, probably for worse, but I just happen to be somebody who trained myself on Adobe products since the 90s. So I've grown up with Adobe since it was Photoshop and the beginnings of Illustrator. And, artists like me were the ones that made Adobe successful. And now Adobe just turned around and they built AI into every single one of their apps.
Yeah.
And so, and just giving what I just said about all of the training of the AI come from stolen work. Like you just stabbed everyone that made this thing possible in the back without a second thought. And I think, and I've heard of a couple of software companies taking a stand against it, but I mean, they're really going to be the outliers. And if people don't care, how long is that going to be? Like, honestly, like they're not going to hold out forever. So,
I think people don't care. That's the problem.
No, I don't think they care either. I don't. And
they're happy to be able to, grasp this thing that would otherwise be out of their reach, like the ability to create or make something. But they're not create. I mean, but I don't know how many people know that. I think a lot of people really think that they're creating something if they put a prompt into the AI. Andre, have you noticed, or can you envision any way in which AI will start to encroach on what you do? Obviously, it's easy, to think about with something like what Chris does with images, flat images. Not that your images are flat, you know what I mean, but dude, images. But for sculpture, what do you see happening? What do you envision happening there?
We're already seeing it happen. They had an AI bot sculpting a St. Joseph statue out of marble. It was like a robot arm. Yeah, it had a chisel and it was already going. So they're already doing it. So that was interesting. The thing that made me feel a bit better though about it was everybody in the comments hated it. They were like, this is gross. This is disgusting. Like, what's the point? Like, why even sculpt it at that point? Just 3D print it. The only thing I could really probably see happening would be 3D printing. Maybe like stealing designs, tweaking them, and then just sending them out en masse, like more cheaply. That's pretty much the only thing I could really see happening, just because my medium, I think, is slightly safer in that regard. But I mean, really not for long. I think my niche is niche enough that I would have to wait for a while, you know, barring making millions doing what I'm doing, for anybody to even want to do that. But yeah, I can definitely see maybe 3D printing robot arms trying to do something like what I'm doing. 'cause they're doing it,
Your
so.
problem might be what Chris was talking about earlier, which is the algorithm. My wife, by a
Yes.
miracle, found you and told me about you, because you never would have. Even though I'm into art in all forms, real art, sculpture, and I'm looking for stuff for my wife all the time, especially Catholic jewelry, things like that. You never would have come across my feed because my algorithm is hijacked
Right.
by, like, it's 50%
Yeah.
stuff I actually like.
And you're
It's
also
like,
a dude, so I don't know
yeah,
that it
that's what I
would
was gonna say. It's
necessarily
20%
give you.
like it's 20% like, do you want to see the pervy thing? And no matter how many times I tell it no,
Yeah.
it comes back again.
Mhm.
And then the rest is just like AI and, you know, advertisements.
Yeah.
But
I have been finding, I don't know, people have been finding me in like the weirdest ways. I don't know. I had one reel go viral that was a trial reel. I think what helped a lot was I used a Catholic heavy metal artist soundtrack for it,
oh, there you
which
go.
I think is the one that your wife probably found, because
Maybe.
that was the one where like literally 90% of the people following me came from. But I think they heard the music, they recognized the artist, and then they were like, oh, this is like Catholic jewelry. I think it was a mix of both. But yeah, the algorithm does not like, especially lately for me, because it's kind of been pinpointing who my target audience is, seeing that it's Catholic, and then maybe not liking that so much.
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
so my numbers have been struggling a little bit, but that's why I try to have people definitely go on my email list, because thankfully that tends to be pretty impervious to the algorithm. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, robot arms, algorithm, all that stuff.
Very interesting. Yeah, and the 3D printer was a thought I had, that people are just going to start linking these things to 3D printers like crazy.
Yeah.
And
I was at a Osprey festival earlier in the year, like in the East Coast, and they had a bunch of vendors that were like selling pottery and whatnot. But there were a couple of tents. It wasn't just one, but there were a couple of tents of people selling 3D printed stuff for like really cheap. And I was getting a little annoyed, and so was everybody else who were shopping, because they were like, "Why are you here?" Respectfully, like, why are you here? And then drop shippers too, or AI cow art on canvases and stuff like that. Like, people are bold. Like, they think people aren't going to recognize it, but it's like, sorry, boomer lady, we know that you pulled that from ChatGPT. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I don't want to. We need to give people some hope before we wrap up here. So what are our hopes for the future in light of all this, as far as the creative space? I'll go counterclockwise, I guess. I'll start with you, Chris. What do you see as the way forward now that AI does exist, that it is in the hands of everyone, and that a lot of people seem to not care so much about whether it's known that they use it? As Joe said, it's encouraged in certain circles. What are you hopeful about going forward, being a real artist?
Oh man, I'm a realist, Chris. Let me think. Let me
The
think.
good news is we all die someday.
That's right. That's right. I don't think there's AI in heaven. How's that?
Everything is terrible.
No. I think, all right. So my hope will be that AI just cannibalizes itself to death. That essentially there's going to be so much of that garbage out there that's what it starts pulling from, and then we just start seeing the same old, just fake produced, soulless type stuff over and over again, and people are just like begin to crave something real again. So what I imagine is we get AI sickness. I already have it, but I think eventually I hope that other people will have it, and they'll start to look into the niches again to try and find the people that are still producing art as true artists, and have something to say and have a story to say. So there is some kind of, I don't know if I wanted to bring this up, but we talked about earlier the Cracker Barrel thing. There's some kind of hope in seeing that people do want story. Like, I think one of the biggest problems of the Cracker Barrel thing was that they basically erased their story right out of their own branding. Yeah. And I do think that real stories, that's what art is there to do. I mean, it's kind of there to point us back to something really deep, profound, and meaningful that that AI is just never going to be able to do. So that's just my hope. We get AI sickness and we start looking for real, authentic stories from artists again.
That's such an integral part, or used to be, of what art was. I mean, even maybe especially sacred art, it was meant to be catechetical.
Yeah.
Like people could read, here are these icons, here are these statues. They'll show you, at least to an extent, what you believe, what you should believe, what
Yeah.
you need to know about this saint, this pope. And Joe, what about you? What are you hopeful for going forward in this age, the seeming age of AI?
Yeah, I think similarly, it's kind of like, I hope it's almost like the Google Homes or the Alexas. I remember when they first came out, we were just supposed to be using those for everything, and you're not going to even look at screens. And people ask them like two things. They're like, "What's the weather today? What time is it?"
Turn the lights off.
And turn the lights off. It's like three things that anyone ever asked them for, and it just kind of fizzled out. And so I'm hoping that people, much like Chris, kind of like return to that. I was talking to a friend, and he was he was saying that, well, I think the handmade stuff will be worth more. It's kind of like Andrea, maybe more towards what you're doing too, like a leather handbag, one that says like hand stitched in, whatever, has like this quality to it, right? And so maybe that'll start to stand out more, the stuff that is actually authentic, and kind of people will start to see that, and that'll actually drive the value of it up more. But then there's maybe it's just like the village. Maybe we just form another society, and we say in this one, AI is outlawed, and so we're not. We just form these civilizations. we're not. This is an AI less city or town. But anyway,
That'd be great.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And Andrea, what about you? What do you see as being bright points going forward?
I would say the bright point is people are kind of already getting a little AI sick. I have a survey when people sign up for my email list to spill their guts to me. And that's something I'm getting a lot of people getting tired of seeing like the same repetitive thing 24/7. And jewelry is just one aspect of it, right? This is symptomatic of everything. So like people are already going back to landlines instead of giving their kids phones, which I think is really great. I personally love landlines.
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
pressing the buttons. But yeah, we're kind of already seeing it. So I'm hopeful that more will kind of jump on the bandwagon there. So I'm not totally bleak outlook. But I think it's going to take a while to get there, and things are going to get pretty ugly before they get better. So just writing it out.
Like so many things, it's usually the way it goes. Well, we will have to have a part 2 of this conversation at some point in the not too distant future. I hope you'll all join us again for that. This is incredibly interesting. I really appreciate all your insights and all your time. Thank you guys for coming and participating in this.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right, and for everyone that watched live and for everyone that we watch in the replay, we appreciate you. Please like and comment and subscribe. And we're not doing this every week anymore. I meant to say this at the beginning of the show. This was a weekly show. It's not going to be a weekly show anymore because we're just going to do it when we feel like it, when we have people that are actually interesting to talk to, when we have Steve and I have a bit or a gimmick we want to do. But other than that, we're not going to force it. So we'll be here when we're here. We'll announce it on X and Instagram. Not that that does any good unless someone like Chris retweets it. But that's the way it's going to be going for the near future anyway. So we appreciate everyone that was watching us every week. We will be here. We will have a show next week. We have a comedian whose name escapes me. I'm sorry, as a guest, so we'll be here. But other than that, it's going to be sporadic. So keep your eyes open. Thanks everyone again, and good night, everybody.